Warning: this episode contains discussions of sexual violence, trauma, and systemic injustice. Some content may be distressing or triggering, especially for survivors. Please listen with care and prioritize your well-being. Support resources are listed in the episode description below. Welcome back, everyone, to the No Longer Silence podcast. I'm Khdrea Jones, one of your hosts, and this is our final episode with one of our survivors. I will allow him to introduce himself very soon, but this is a very extra special episode because this is our only male survivor who is here to share his story and empower and help to bridge the gap and encourage other male survivors that it's okay for you to speak out, it's okay for you to take charge of your own story and tell it in a way that is comfortable and true to you. So, welcome, Anthony.
Thank you for having me.
Please tell the people a little bit more about you.
Where do I start? I'm 32 years old. My name is Anthony. 32 years old. I'm a typical black guy, if I had to say the least, but I guess my survival journey has helped me be a better typical black guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty much just a normal, calm. I like my days easy and nothing too strenuous going on outside of work. But that's just me.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get into it. So we have a couple questions for Anthony here today, and again, feel free to share just as much as you want to.
Okay.
Tell your story. So my first question for you is, healing means something different for everyone, and when you think about your own journey, what does healing look like for you today?
Mental freedom, to begin. Being able to process my thoughts on a dime, like in the moment, versus after the moment or after the situation. So that's what healing is for me right now, and I feel like that's something I've always wanted. Just being able to make, I guess, executive decisions on the fly, versus after the fact, thinking back like, oh, I should have done this. But that's what it looks like for me right now.
And I think reflection is a very key part of healing, because a lot of times we make decisions and we act just because that's the only information you have to work with at that time. But then after doing some reflecting, maybe at the end of the day, the end of the year, whatever the case, you're like, maybe I could have handled that differently. And it's in those reflections when a similar situation comes up, you're like, you know what, I'll do it different this time. So reflection is really, really important. And were there moments when you started realizing that prioritizing your mental health was necessary for your own growth?
I think it was when I had my daughter, so about 5 years ago. And so I had my daughter, and me and the mom's not together, so it's been a shared relationship. But being able to be the best, I guess, father for her played the main priority in me saying, okay, maybe now it's time to do something different from what I was already doing for the last 20-some years. So I was like, something has to change. And then also on top of that, I was hurting a lot of people. Not consciously, but subconsciously in, I guess, my more indirect actions was causing pain for a lot of people, and I didn't take it into accountability. So a lot of the times I thought I was doing the right thing, or I thought I was doing something good, but it turned out that it wasn't effective or for that person, or it wasn't the right thing for that person. So I guess with this healing journey, it helped me be able to look at myself first and see how I could adjust based on the situation, based on the person I'm dealing with. And in terms of my daughter, be able to just be a better dad for her. And she's a girl and I'm a dad, and I'm a boy, or a man. So it's like raising a girl child, it has its challenges. And it does help me remain, I guess, gentle and more calm in a sense, because I do, I guess, get that regular like, why you doing that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and as a man, it's like we gotta do this, and that, and it's like I want her to do the same thing, but at the same time I have to understand she's a whole different genre from me, a whole different gender from me.
Yeah.
So it's like I have to treat it differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to figure out what I need to do within myself to be able to raise her in a better way than I was raised,
mm-hmm.
I guess.
Mm-hmm. And create a safer space
yes.
for her to, you know.
I want her to be able to, you know, I don't ever want her to be scared to come and talk to me, regardless of what it is. And I don't want her to feel like, oh, I'm going to judge, my dad's going to judge me, you know? So I try my hardest to give her that space where it's like, you can talk to me about anything and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you bring to me, yes, I'm your dad, I might look at you like, you should have made a better choice, but wow. I'm not going to hold it against you because you're human. Mm-hmm. You know, and you're going to make mistakes and I expect you to.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's good. And I mean, you going through your own journey and like your own coming to have more wisdom kind of moments is the same thing that you will transfer to her. Like, okay, probably you made a poor decision in this situation, but how could you have handled it differently? And then also teaching her about the importance and the gift of reflection and how you can be a better person going forward. So
and also, sorry to interrupt, and I also think our mistakes is not, well, how I look at my mistakes now versus how I looked at it a year ago, for example, is how I looked at it a year ago, I looked at my mistakes as something I regret. Mm-hmm. But now it's more so, it was just a big book of learning.
Yeah.
The good or the bad, everything is a learning moment. Yeah. As long as you're able to look within yourself and see where you went wrong first before you try to point the finger. Look within yourself and say, okay, I did that. Or I have control over this and I allowed this to happen. And move on from there.
One of my favorite quotes, and I say it all the time, is we're all stories in the end, so we should create books worth reading. And I think with everything that we do in life, there are chapters that probably aren't the best chapters, honestly, but they're chapters that are necessary for our personal development. And again, we're all stories. We all have a story to tell, a story to share. And there might be some really rough ups and downs during those stories, but I think at the end of it all, it makes the book worth reading, and just seeing yourself as the character in the book coming forward, triumphing over whatever the situation is, in the end makes it all worth it. So yeah, it's important to have that kind of reflection and knowing that, okay, well, this happened, but we can move past this. It's just a part of life, my process, what I had to go through. But it doesn't mean what happened yesterday makes me who I am today. I can choose to change. And
to continue on to that point, I had something that my sister taught me a couple years ago. It's called the Wheel of Fortune. So it has the good side and the bad side. And
also not the game show.
No, not the game show. The real Wheel of Fortune has a good side and a bad side, but the wheel never stops spinning.
Okay.
So regardless of whatever side you're on, you have to understand that you have to let it go. Because in order for you to continue to cycle through life and experience all the different things that life has to give to you, you have to be able to let go. Even if it's good, even if it's bad, you have to be able to let it go and continue the course. Because if you hold on to any one thing for too long, you're going to miss out on other things.
Yeah.
Right? And that goes for good or bad. And that's something like I replay in my head constantly. Because it's like, even though I'm going through this, it won't last.
Yeah.
My wheel's still spinning. You know, and it's gonna come to a good part, and that good part might go on for years, and then 1 year might just go straight down. It's like it's life, you know, and it's supposed to happen. Right now, I'm reading a book called The Art of Not Giving an F.
Oh, I've heard of that book.
One of the main things in it is understanding that problems is a part of life.
Yes.
So you have your good problems and you have your bad problems. And then you have the problems that you are willing to live with. But regardless, all of it is a part of life. And if you can't live a life with no problem.
Yeah.
And you can't live a life with only bad problems. So it's like,
that's true.
It has its balance. But yeah, that's just to play on that and some things that helped me throughout this journey and throughout the healing process.
Mm-hmm. So how has your identity as a black man shaped your experiences with healing and mental health? At the top of the episode, you mentioned typical black guy, but I mean the black experience it's not typical for a lot of things. Really and truly, just say day to day, some things are made difficult just by virtue of being black, and even having access to mental health care or just even speaking about your mental health is something that can be kind of taboo in the black community. And even though we've seen changes happening like post-COVID, that kind of thing, a lot more discussions are being had around mental health. How would you say your identity has shaped those experiences for you?
It made me more closed off, for sure. Less inclined to speak up, because as a black man, to me at least, you're quicker judged just off of the way you look. If you don't smile too much, if you smile too much, all these different things. And it made it tougher, because for me, all I ever wanted to do was release. I didn't want anyone looking at me like, oh, you went through that? I feel sorry for you. I didn't want that. I just wanted to be able to talk and no one judge me on it. Or
you wanted that we listen and we don't judge.
Or don't judge me and don't judge anyone that's involved in what happened to me. Have your own, I guess, perspective or perception of them, but don't judge them based on what I tell you. So for me, I've always just wanted to be able to talk. So as a black man, you can't just talk. You can't just be open. You're gonna be like, oh, you're soft, you're this, you're that. And it was tough. And it took me years to even be able to open up to my friends that I feel close to, and tell them like, yo, I've been through this. So even most of my friends I've known over 20 years. And so even now, they're still learning new things about me. And it's like, they call me Trini. So they'll be like, oh, Trini, wow, you went through that? I'm like, yeah, 10, 15 years ago, but yeah, it happened. He's like, wow, I would never know. But I was like, yeah, because I have to wear a smile every day. Because if I don't, who's gonna help me? Who's gonna be like, oh, are you okay? It's never, are you okay? Why are you crying?
Yeah.
Why are you soft? Why are you talking about your emotions like that? So it's like, yeah, post-COVID made it easier to talk about things, or made the world more inclined to listen. But it's still hard, because that stigma of the judgment is still there.
Still attached to it, yeah.
Still attached to it, because it's been going on for so long. You can't just take 2 years and be like, okay, start talking, guys.
Yeah.
Nah, I've been holding this in for years. What do you mean?
You made me feel like I couldn't say something all this time, so just saying, oh, it's okay to talk, no, doesn't necessarily make it okay.
Exactly.
Because there's already this mental barrier to accessing any kind of mental health care or just wanting to speak about things that happen to you. So, yeah. And then, like you said, as a black man, there's a lot that you have to carry. And society places heavy expectations on black men around strength and silence and resilience. And how have you been able to navigate all of that while trying to heal?
To be honest, it's the voice in my head. Even though they say, oh, you're crazy if you talk to yourself. But that voice in the back of my head has saved me so many times throughout my life. Saved me from taking my life, saved me from cutting my wrist, just saved me in general from making a decision that might alter the people that I love around me. So that is my greatest gift and a curse, because I could talk myself into depression and then I could talk myself out of it.
Yeah.
So it's like that has kept me grounded, because every time I thought I was at my lowest, that voice in the back of my head told me, hey, but you have this to live for. You have these nieces and nephews to live for. You have all these other things that surround you that you're not looking at.
Yeah.
So how about you look at this a little bit more and then come back later? But in that thought of me going back and forth with that, I guess my inner self is enough. It's a long enough time for me to forget whatever I was about to do and walk away. So you know that's been my
saving grace.
My saving grace,
Yeah.
my confidence.
And it brings me back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of self-reflection. Because sometimes when you're feeling overwhelmed with everything that's happening in life, if you stop and you reflect and you're like, you know, I probably have more things to be grateful for. I'm someone of faith, so I always believe in like counting your blessings, and sometimes you count them, you literally name them one by one. You're like, you know what? Okay, there's that, and there's that, and there's that too. And like you said, by that time you're like, what was I even thinking about before? Because you've now summed up everything that has happened that has led you to this point, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then you're like, well, there are times when the good outweighs everything else, and you feel as though there is more for me, there's more purpose for my life, there's more I can do while I'm here. So let's make it make sense.
Right. And the next thing was an ex-girlfriend told me one time, I guess, when you're in that suicidal headspace, you forget that whatever you're about to do or whatever you're thinking of doing has a greater effect. So in that moment, you're kind of selfish, right? And she told me that within that selfishness, when you're gone, it's not so much like, oh yeah, you're gone. Whatever you were going on in your head, that's gone. That ends, but everybody else around you is like, why did they have to go? I didn't want them to go. Why didn't they talk to me? And it's like, you're affected more than just yourself. And that little snippet helps me too, because it's like, it reminds me like, buddy, it's greater than you.
Yeah.
Like, even though, yes, you're going through this in your own head, yes, you're hurt and you're in pain, whatever the case may be, it's greater than you. And if you do this, it's gonna hurt more people than you think it is.
And yeah, that is actually helping. Yeah.
That is actually helping. So it's like, only thing you could do in that moment is like to help yourself is also to help somebody else by not doing what you're thinking about doing or what you're contemplating doing.
Yeah. What are some of the barriers, personal, social, or systemic, that made it harder for you to access support or talk about your experience? I know we mentioned some of them earlier, just like, you know, all the stigma that's attached to getting help. But are there any other barriers that probably are more invisible than we think?
The resources it's not visible. So even like finding Revive wasn't even me. It was my sister that found Revive. So I didn't even know it was a thing, to be honest. I didn't even know it existed. And I'm like, how did you find it? She's like, the reason I knew about it or knew where to go look to find something like this is because she's BSW. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's not typical information.
Yeah.
A regular person walking the street won't know that.
Exactly.
You know, and then when you're going through whatever you're going through, you're not thinking about how can I find help or where to look to find help.
You're probably more thinking about like getting through this pain, getting out of this pain, getting out of this world if you can.
Yeah. You know, I guess the burden of not knowing of the resources plays a heavy toll, because then you're like, oh, now it's a financial thing. Now I have to pay like $300 an hour just to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And it's like, do I want to cough that up? So that's also a drawback for me too, because it's like, I don't even know what am I going to say. You have all these other things like, oh, am I just going to sit down and talk to this person that I don't know?
Like it's a waste of money, because then you'll probably get there and don't want to talk either. So yeah.
So like I feel that, you know, because you spend $150 to $300 to sit down and say 2 words, you just felt like you just wasted all your time, your money, your energy, you know. So it's like, I understand that, but being able to find a place like Revive, she did give me another one, but I don't remember the name. But the other organizations like Revive, gave me an opportunity to meet a therapist.
Yeah.
And open up and talk. And to be honest, now I'm out here trying to push this ethos to everybody. Like, hey man, you need that.
Go to therapy.
Go there, man. I can see it in you.
Yeah. It's very, very, very important. Because again, a lot of people don't have spaces where they can go to and be honest and really open about the things that they've been through and just what's going on in their mind. And so having a space where you know for a fact that this person is gonna listen and not judge makes a world of a difference, because you know that what you say here is confidential, it's not going anywhere else. Your friends out on the streets don't know that that's what you're up in there talking about.
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
Exactly. So, yeah.
And even when I was starting therapy, I was skeptical. Even though my sister was telling me like, oh, don't worry, like it's confidential, you could literally tell them anything. And unless you're subpoenaed to court or something, they can't say nothing. And even then, it just scribbles.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, but I was still like, what am I gonna say?
Yeah.
Are they gonna, like, you know, in the movies, you lay down on the couch and ask you questions? Is it gonna be like that, or is it gonna be? I don't know what it was gonna be.
Yeah.
And then I also thought when I originally, when I knew that I needed help, I was seeking that of someone similar to me in terms of culture, race, all that.
That's important.
And so I came here, and my therapist was not the same complexion or culture, didn't match the same culture as mine. So I was like, what am I going to talk to this man about? But it opened up my eyes that he's been great, to be honest. He's taught me a lot. He's helped me a lot. And it took away that stigma. And I sat down in there, and all that, I guess, fluff in my head went right out the window. What it was going to be like. Went right out the window, because I sat in there, and for the whole hour I just talked. And he was like, oh, you came in here, you even know what to say. I was like, yeah, I didn't know what to say either. And then he gave me an analogy. He's like, once you came to a realization that all you need to do is let it go, it's like the dam. So you have the dam doors, and you just open a door at a time. And then and it just floods out. And that's exactly what happened. It just flooded out. And ever since then, I haven't stopped talking.
Well, we're glad. So I'm really happy to hear that you had that experience here at Revive, and that you're in a place where you're also encouraging other people to go and get the help that you need. And sometimes you mentioned that your sister was the one who put you on, and very often having a community of people who see the value in you and want you to be okay is so important, because they can probably point you to resources that you didn't even know existed, like you said. So having a community is such an important factor, and you're a part of other people's communities now, so you have the opportunity to see things in other people and be like, you know what, I think some therapy would be good for you. Or I think probably just even being that safe space for a moment to be like, let's talk about something. Coming from my experience, I know this, I know that, and I can listen to you, and I can probably help you or direct you to where you need to go. So having community is really, really important. So were there turning points that you felt more seen or heard or supported in your journey?
I want to say no, only because I wasn't looking for that. That wasn't something that I ever wanted to pursue when it came to my healing journey. It was more so, as I said earlier, just a release for me.
Yeah.
Just being able to get it out of my head. And not only just get out of my head, but also, I guess, face those dark times, those demons that just roam in my head sometimes. That's what it was. But yeah, actually, I did feel seen for myself. I did feel heard for myself.
Oh, I love that.
You know, but as an external thing, no, I didn't want that. But internally, I felt that.
You had peace of mind.
I had peace of mind. I felt, to be honest, I'm 32 now, and I feel like this is the most whole I've ever felt in my life, because it's like I understand completely who I am, the good, the bad, and everything in between. So it's like it's a lot more refreshing.
Yeah.
So even
Revived.
I feel revived, you know. So like when I'm going through my day-to-days, and of course you're still gonna go through your problems and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't hold a heavy burden, you know. It doesn't weigh me down like before. A year ago, I'll go through some things and then it will beat me down,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything else comes back with that, and it just
Mm-hmm.
adds on top,
Mm-hmm.
like cake layers.
Yeah.
So being able to let go of those thoughts and face them as they come, and process them in a way that I can understand. Okay, yeah, it's bad. Yeah, it's okay though. It could be a lot worse. But what can you do moving forward to make sure this never happens again?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So being able to do that like in the moment or throughout the day, and as you said, reflect throughout the day on it, has been a great help in general. So yeah, I don't think externally I've been seen or wanted to be seen, but internally I'm happy.
I really like that because, you know, just saying that you're able to really see and understand yourself. And I think for a lot of us, life, you're learning as you go along, you're experiencing things as you go along, but it's very rare, I think, that you find people who are very aware of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like you mentioned earlier, you were probably hurting other people, not because you wanted to and not consciously, but because you probably didn't understand yourself fully. Then that happened. But now that you have a greater understanding of who you are and what your purpose is here on this earth, you're better able to connect with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You'll know when something doesn't feel right to Anthony, and you'll know when something feels absolutely right. And you'll operate differently because you're just more, you're you. Mm-hmm. And you understand that you're you, and you are now a whole person. So I think that's really, really beautiful that you can say that you felt seen by yourself and heard by yourself. So I really love that. That's lovely. I really hope that, you know, for people who are listening or watching this, especially for the males who are out there probably not feeling as though somebody sees them or hears them, that they'll be able to have access to mental health care or just a community and get in touch with themselves. Mm-hmm. That they can be like, you know, I see me, I hear me. I love that. Who or what has been important in helping you move forward with your, you know, journey on mental health and healing? And I know you said your sister was the person who put you on to begin with, but who else has come along on that journey?
Good question. I wouldn't say necessarily who. Mm-hmm. Like outside my daughter, my boys, my close friends, mm-hmm. Just being able to talk to them. But I shouldn't say this on camera. But I used to do mushrooms, mm-hmm. and it's a psychedelic effect. But it used to put me in a headspace where I wouldn't know what emotions I was going through, mm-hmm. or what I was feeling. Mm-hmm. So every time I did shrooms, it was only, I guess, for a mental thing I did shrooms for. It opened up, like it went on for like a week, but it opened up a door to like, hey, maybe you need to fix this here, or maybe you need to work on this here because this is still affecting you, mm-hmm. or maybe you need to actually go and talk to your sister, even though you said you want to talk to her, but you've been holding it off for the last 10 years. Yeah. Maybe now is the time. Mm-hmm. So even when I did talk to my sister, it was random. I didn't choose. It wasn't a choice. Uh-huh. I was just talking to her regular. We're having a regular conversation and just slip of the tongue. Mm-hmm. And she was like, what?
Oh. What's going on?
I was like, oh, I didn't mean to tell you that.
Mm-hmm. It just came out.
It just came out. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, I guess it was that voice, that inner voice saying, okay, now it's time. Just say it. Mm-hmm. And I guess for a momentary lapse, I lost control of my mouth. Mm-hmm. And words just started coming out, and I was like, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. And while I'm telling her, I'm like, tears started to fall, and I'm like, nah, what are you doing? Yeah. Pick that up. Mm-hmm. Put it back. you're not even supposed to be talking about this right now. How did we reach here? And then the next day, find out that she found revived. So outside of her and my boys and them, I think it was me taking accountability first and foremost, accepted. Because I think I never, like, I understood what happened to me, but I didn't, I wasn't willing to accept it. And even though I don't accept the terms that are tied to the things, but now I have a better understanding that, okay, those things happen. That's the terms for them.
But that doesn't define who
But
you
that
are.
it doesn't change who I am, you know, and I'm able to let it go and live with it. I don't have to talk to nobody and be like, oh, you did this to me, or this is how I felt. Because for me, it's always been an internal thing. It's always been an internal battle. It's never been an external battle for me. So now that I'm able to be whole, that internal battle is not there no more. I'm not fighting myself no more.
Yeah.
You know? But,
Yeah. Okay. That's very beautiful. Are there any particular tools or routines or practices that have helped to support your mental health and healing? I know you said you're reading a book now, but it's like, are you books? Is it music? Is it going to the gym? What are your physical outlets that help you to?
it'd be reading sometimes. And I think I find myself rereading some of the books that I enjoyed reading.
Oh, nice.
Or didn't finish because it just wasn't, I guess it wasn't the time for me to read it. So reading music, a lot of music, listening to a lot of music, different types of music, just based on the I guess the mood, the way I'm feeling in my head and what I'm thinking about. So yeah, the music, the reading, and then having that alone time. Sometimes I'll just be sitting there.
No music,
no
books,
nothing, just me. Cause I live alone, so it's just like I have that free space now, so I can just sit down anywhere and just like I'll be on the balcony and I'll just be looking out over the top and just be like, oh wow, look how far I came, or you know, do a little bit of reflecting or something.
Yeah.
But being able to, I think the greatest thing that has helped me is being able to look within. Being able to look from my standpoint first of where, okay, how did I play a part in whatever is happening? What did I do? What was my reaction to somebody else's actions? And how could I have made it a better situation or experience based on what I was doing? So that's one of the greatest things that really helps me, and that comes with being alone and being able to reflect and no outside noise, no nothing.
Because I'm gonna ask you what your favorite song is that you're listening to right now, and your favorite book, but that part about just sitting, being still, and being quiet with yourself is, I think, especially just based on what you've said here today, is so important and a very full circle moment for you, because again, you mentioned a lot of the battles that you face were internal, and it's always that voice in your head. But if you're able to just be quiet and not be going back and forth with that voice,
No fighting.
that's very, very freeing. Very, very freeing. So what's your favorite song right now?
It varies, but it's called Pain by I can't really say his last name, but his first name is Toby Nwang. The giveaway. I can't really say his last name. But and a guy named Sauce Walker, and they have a sample of DMX singing one of his songs.
Okay.
So
That's the go-to track right now.
that's a go-to, and
Fair.
it trickles down from there.
Yeah. Okay. And favorite book?
There had to be the Sister Soldier series. I love all of them, but one I've really come to love recently is the last one she made. One of my favorite books from her is the Midnight series, so Midnight 1 to 3. That, I guess, because it's about the main character is a black boy. And it tells you his struggles from coming from Sudan and coming to America, living in Brooklyn, growing up in Brooklyn, and the struggle of living in Brooklyn in the 70s and the drugs and all these other things that play into your life, and still him having to navigate and come out of that on top. And stronger than he was when he was coming in.
Yeah. It's hard for the black man out there.
It's hard.
It is hard. It's hard. And I mean, it seems like it's been hard since the beginning of time. And I mean, obviously we've, as a race, have, made a lot of changes, and we're able to be in a lot of spaces where we weren't before, but there's still so much further to go. And there's a lot that you just, again, face on a day-to-day basis just by virtue of being black. So, I guess reading that, you can see that, there's a way to get to where you need to go, despite the struggle, because it's real.
Oh, I remember the book now.
You remember it now?
Yeah, it's Sister Soldier, Life After Death.
If you could offer one piece of encouragement to another black man who might be struggling silently, what would you say?
I have a lot to say, but the main thing would be find community. Find a group of people, one person that you could just talk to. And talk. Don't be scared. Just let it out. First, of course, take accountability and accept that anything external from you is not your fault. And it happened to you, yes, but you're in control of how you react to things. So find your community, because as the saying goes, the only two things that are guaranteed is you live alone, or as the saying goes, you live alone, you die alone. But what I've come to believe is that you're never born alone. You sat in your mom's belly for 9 months.
Yeah.
You're never alone.
You're never meant to be alone.
You're never meant to be alone. So find somebody, find something, find people that you could be open with, be free with, and just be able to talk to them. Because that right there will go a long way throughout this constant battle that we have with ourselves, with society, with the people around us. And healing starts right here, always. If you can't take accountability for your own actions and your reactions to things, then healing becomes a lot more tougher. So healing starts right here.
It starts with you.
Yeah.
It starts with you. All right. And what message would you give survivors, especially black men who are just starting their healing journey?
Don't stop. Yeah, healing doesn't stop. It's a lifelong journey, because just as long as you went through all the pain and the struggles and everything else that you went through, it's the same amount of time you should put into the healing. To be able to balance it out. Yeah, you might be able to be like, oh yeah, I've been going to therapy for a year, I feel so much better. But that's just the beginning.
Yeah.
That's just the gate.
Yeah.
You still have a long yellow brick road to walk. So don't stop. Don't stop.
And life is gonna life.
Life is gonna life.
Life is gonna life. So
and you can't control everything, so let it life.
Yeah. Remember the wheel of fortune.
The wheel of fortune.
Wherever you are on that wheel today.
Keep going.
I was gonna ask you about the communities that give you hope, but I think you mentioned that earlier with your boys and with your sister and your daughter especially. Is there any other ones that you could think about, or does that capture everybody?
No, it would be the whole community. So my nieces, my nephews, they're a lot older now, so I'm able to talk to them, able to see them grow. My oldest niece, she's going to the same middle school I went to, so that's a full circle moment. And I went to assembly there the other day, and it's been almost 20 years since I've been there, but I went in there and I was like, oh wow, so much has changed. Lockers used to be here, and it's just like a refreshing moment to be able to see them grow, see them develop into beautiful human beings, and knowing that whatever I've gone through and whatever I've experienced has now become a shield for you. So now you're able to use my shield and the things that I've gone through to shield off whatever that might come to you, and now you have a different path or a different options.
And also especially because you chose to be better
Mhm.
for them, because you could have opted to remain just as you were, dealing with your struggles and not being present as as Uncle Anthony, like not being there in the way that would have actually been beneficial to them. So you choosing to go on this healing journey is putting you in a better position to be a better uncle, a better brother, a better father, like you mentioned earlier. So yeah. And everything that once seemed so big, no,
It doesn't
not
seem
that
so
big
no
anymore.
You know, the world doesn't seem so big no more.
Mhm.
It feels like it's right here.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I love that. Anything else you want to share with the viewers, listeners, before we go?
Go to therapy. I feel like everybody needs a little bit of therapy, even if it's just at 1 hour.
Mhm.
Go to therapy and be open.
Yeah.
Just be open. Don't hold nothing back. Even if you think inside your head that, oh, this person's about to go write this down, go talk to their wife when they get home. They're not. They're not gonna go gossip about you. They don't. Yeah, they care, but they don't really care enough to go bring it home with them. You know, so be open.
Yeah.
Go to therapy and release.
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 It would be your greatest gift you could give yourself.
Release and revive.
Double R's.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Thank you so much, Anthony.
Thank you for having me.
Very, very happy to have you today. And just having the ability to hold space for a black man to share his experience and, you know, encourage other young men, other black men to seek help if you realize that you need the help, and also to encourage all of us, men, women, to hold space and be community members for everybody else, so that if they're feeling as though I need to get some help or I need to talk to someone, that you can hold that space for them and direct them to where they might need to go. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, our viewers and listeners, for joining us on this really special episode. Bye.
Take care.